that this is. It says it's recording. That's great. And I'm going to share my screen with you. I just check everybody can see the screen. Yeah.
Yeah, all good.
All good. Lovely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So today we're obviously going to be talking about how to make the most of Instagram for coach tourism. We will be recording it, so you can check back on it if you need to. But today is just trying to give you some really effective tips and tricks for getting the most out of the platform. Now, I did do quite a bit of research and in advance, and it was interesting to see that although a lot of the CTA members are on Facebook, not so many on Instagram, which is a real opportunity. And I'll talk to you why it's such an opportunity as we go through. Now, hopefully this will. There we go. So what we aim to achieve today is that you're going to learn how to configure your account correctly and make sure it's optimized and can be found in search, recommended and tagged by others. The what, when, where and how to post. All important. Talk about how to engage with past and current customers and keep them entertained, and hopefully use them as converting them into brand ambassadors. How to attract new customers and measure success, and then just sort of pulling it all together to have this great Instagram account with a clear plan of action. One of the things I like most about Instagram is it's a bit lower maintenance than some of the other social media platforms, but in terms of performance, it can be a higher performing. So it really is worthwhile considering adding in, you know, and optimizing your campaign on here. So before we start, I always like to give you a little bit of background about the platform. Instagram was designed to capture and share the world's moments. That's what the platform deems to be all about, and therefore it's hugely, hugely visual. And it sees its mission to bring you closer to the people and things you love, which again, you know, that whole visual recognition. It is very popular, not as popular as Facebook, but it's still got over 1 billion users every month, and 30 million of those are in the UK alone. So it's a massive audience. And the male-female split is actually pretty similar insofar as 52% female and 48% male, which does mean it's great that you can target both genders. Fun fact, the average post contains 10.7 hashtags. I don't know how you have a 0.7 of a hashtag, but it's 10.7. Approximately 70% of UK monthly users are under 35. And that might be why historically members haven't sort of gravitated towards the platform, because it has a younger audience. However, this year has been an unprecedented year, and the demographics on all the social platforms have changed massively, where people are taking to different ways to communicate with friends and family and people they haven't seen and keep up to date. And Instagram is very newsworthy, so actually the age range, the sort of the 35 to 65s has got more and more popular. Instagram users spend about 53 minutes a day on the platform, which is a long time. They're looking at their posts, they're scrolling, they're looking for ideas and inspiration. It's a long time that people are spending on that, and they do it, their behavior is very different to the Facebookers. Instagram can actually generate 4 times more interactions on Instagram compared to Facebook, which means that because Facebook and Instagram are quite obviously from an ad platform point of view, they're served together. It can really raise a campaign. So obviously working in an agency, we see client campaigns all the time, and what has been very interesting during lockdown is just how brilliantly Instagram is performing in terms of A, engaging people with the brand, but B, also the conversions, i.e. whether that is getting a booking inquiry or a booking or a sale. They have been escalating. The people have been relying far more on the social platforms and online for everything. So it stands to reason that obviously it's such a popular platform, it would be doing well. 90% of all accounts on sort of personal accounts do actually follow a business on Instagram. So really dispelling that myth that actually, you know, people don't follow brands or companies. They do. Small businesses, they do. And Instagram actually helps 80% of users decide to buy a product or service. It's used very differently in the buying funnel. So people use Instagram as a way to inspire them, or to find out about stuff, research. So it's like the very early stage of a funnel. So in the travel industry, they could be looking at locations, destinations, places to go, things to see, things to do. So it has very much got a place for travel. But it is a very highly visual experience, which is best managed via a mobile phone or tablet. So whilst you can bring up Instagram on your computers, you don't get all the functions on there. You can't do half the things you can do on your phone. It was designed to be used on a phone, which again makes it different to Facebook, because it's, you know, Facebook, you can manage it from pretty much any device. Instagram really is very much better done on a mobile phone. So some home truths about Instagram is it's similar to Facebook insofar as you don't have to be the best. You've just got to be connected to your audience. It's very much about authenticity on Instagram, which is why it appealed so much to a younger audience in its early years. And similar to Facebook, it's not just about the number of followers or likes. It really isn't. It's all in the engagement. So Instagram has an algorithm just like Google and Facebook, and that determines when somebody looks at their newsfeed or is browsing through generic content rather than just the stuff they've signed up to see. It determines what people are going to see. So because of that, you obviously want to use best practices, which I'm going to share with you, and you'll have your playbook and your slide deck to refer to later. But that will help you play to the algorithm, and I'll give you some top tips which will help you get those extra engagements and play to how the algorithm actually ranks posts. In the UK, I looked at the stats last night, because obviously everything has been ever changing this year because of the current situation. At the moment, the best time of day to post tends to be around lunchtime or early evening. And that's just, I mean, that's a really generic statement. I'm sure there are different niches will have different stories to tell on that. But whereas with Facebook, traditionally, what people, the consumer habit tends to be, they wake up and they look at their Facebook first thing in the morning, and they've, you know, said happy birthday to people and done whatever they're going to do on there. And then they'll pop in again at lunchtime and again in the evening. With Instagram, it's much more the lunchtime browse, looking for some inspiration, particularly for travel and attractions and things like that. People planning their weekends away, what they're going to do next with friends and family. So the lunchtime and the early evening. So if you are scheduling or wanting to post on the hoof, so to speak, try and do it at lunchtime or early evening. Over 50% of travellers use Instagram and other social media platforms as part of the process, from getting inspiration, planning, sharing, and ultimately spreading that positive word of mouth about their adventure. So I did have a look at what people are posting. Interestingly enough, a lot of CTA members are on Instagram. They don't actually have a profile, but they have like a location page, which is generated when users are tagging particular companies. So there is definitely an opportunity there to harness that and to join that conversation. And when we talked about Facebook, we talked about the psychology, and actually I kind of thought about it more as a motivation for the Instagram user to share with you, because it is different. The people that are coming to Instagram are more, surveillance sounds like a very heavy word, but it's about their surveillance and their knowledge of others. And that's as much about friends and family as it is about celebrities and high profile brands, or the brands that they love. What they want to do is be in the know. Coolness comes into it, and you know, lots of businesses say to me, but my brand's not cool. Well, cool is as cool does. It has a different definition to each and every person depending on their, you know, their demographics. So you don't think you have to suddenly become young, hip and cool to be on there and to be successful, but that is one of the motivations for people actually being an Instagram user. Fear of missing out. Instagram promotes self-expression, creativity, and individuality, but it's still in our nature to feel a strong urge to do the things that others are doing. And I think the rise, you've certainly seen a lot of YouTubers switch over to Instagram as a better channel for them. And we're going to talk about IGTV shortly. They have got a great platform here for it, and to really bring their brands or their messages to life. Social proof and influence. People are more likely to do things when they're influenced by others doing them. That's a really great fact to know, because actually if that's why people are coming there, if people are traveling with you or visiting your attraction or staying at your hotel or going on your river cruise, it's a great way to get us to invite people to interact, because if they are saying that they're there, then their friends know that they're there and it's a cool or a great place to go. Ergo, it's somewhere that they should go. So that's why, one of the reasons why there is an opportunity there for the CTA members. But it's also a place where I belong, because scrolling through their feeds is more than a habit, and they're actually satisfying a need to belong. And whether it's to belong in whatever kind of community, whether it could be a travel cohort, or whether it could be a lover of, I don't know, fun fairs or roller coasters or something, people want to have that sense of belonging, and that it's very much satisfied on Instagram. And being in the know for the latest trends. I mean, the latest trends do now break on Instagram, and you would have seen that perhaps in the news. So it is a regular occurrence. So before I go on to how to configure your page, because it is very different to Facebook and other social media platforms, does anybody have any questions or comments they'd like to make about Instagram as a platform, or their experience of it so far?
Okay, I'll jump in. I think the frustration I really find is this lack of a proper desktop use. Really, it is someone you're kind of managing a lot of different elements, and it's also the factor of not finding a screen very easy to read on a mobile that really challenges. But there are actually kind of ways around it and hacks on the desktop, but it's not easy to find. You need to know how to go. But there are kind of ways around that you can emulate a phone on your desktop. But it is a frustration really, in terms of being able to do it seamlessly alongside the other social channels you're managing.
It is, but one of the things that has changed, certainly in the last sort of 24 months, previously we weren't able to pre-schedule to Instagram, because the way that the API worked, it wasn't open for the scheduling tools, but it is now. So if you want to be able to schedule on a desktop in advance, there are tools available that will allow you to do that. Such as Sprout Social, which is what we use. We can actually schedule. A tool like that actually tells you exactly what's the right time of day on that particular day, on that particular date as well, to schedule for. But you're absolutely right. I think that's why a lot of business owners are put off Instagram, because it's very much not on the go. But then that is the nature of the audience that's on there, and you can work around it, as you say. There is a workaround on desktop, but it is fiddly, and it is best managed on mobile. But the scheduling tools do help with that. Well, I'll talk a little bit about configuring the page, because it is different, as I say, to the different social platforms. And we'll just start off with the page anatomy. Now, I took my screenshots. I'm going to be very upfront and say I took screenshots from both desktop and my phone when I was putting this together. So sometimes you'll see them looking slightly different. But the basic page anatomy is the same whichever way you're looking at it. Your logo obviously sits at the top left. Now, one of the things I would say is that it's because it is on mobile, and actually going towards Steve's point there, it's actually, if you're a bit short-sighted like I am, and I have big text on my phone, you can't always see things very clearly. So what you want to do is make sure there's no clutter around your logo. Don't use anything with a jazzy background. Don't try and do something clever on the logo part, because actually it will backfire. People won't be able to see or read it. So you want, a nice white background is probably the best way. It's certainly the most simple way. But I have seen some really good use of colour as well. Behind the, and you can't see this because it's a screenshot, but when you put your finger on your phone on the logo, that is where the story is. That's the quick way to get to a story. Obviously, if you're looking at them in your feed, that would be different. You'd be scrolling through and you'd be swiping. But if you want to actually look at your own company's story, you would just pop your finger on the logo and that would reveal the story that's posted. And I'll talk about stories and how they work shortly. To the right of the logo, you have the username, also called a handle or page name, whatever you want to call it. It's the @ you put an ampersand in front of it. If you were sharing it with someone, you'd say @ and in this case we've got City Cruises on here. It's advisable to keep it short and snappy. Don't bother with things like limited or any of those extra bits that you might put in. If you, I don't know, you wouldn't carry out marketing limited, you'd put carry out marketing, for example. You have the opportunity to also put the industry in there, and that's worthwhile. Lots of business owners seem to forget to put the industry in there. We're talking obviously about optimizing this profile and making it really discoverable, and people look for things by industry, by genre. Just try and make sure any opportunity you've got to configure to your specific area is good. So in this case, you can see a good example. You can see there it's flagging as a boat tour agency. You might not find the exact description of your business that you want, because there is a limit, that you select it. You don't just free type it. And so if you don't, just pick the nearest thing to it rather than go for the other catch-all option. When writing your bio is, if people are considering following your brand on Instagram, it sort of gives them a quick elevator pitch, for want of a better term. Give the people a reason to follow. So don't keep it sort of dry and just basic information. Try and think about it as what you would say if you wanted someone just to follow you. What you would say to them: oh God, you've got to come and follow our brand because we just do brilliant offers and promotions, or we do weekend deals in so and so, or we've got tours going out 52 weeks a year, or we cover the whole of the UK. Those kind of bits of information, little bite-sized bits of information, go in there. You are restricted on your character count. So it is, we talked about keywords on the Facebook training, and keywords come into play on Instagram as well. If you think about the words that people would use to discover, to find the product or service that you're offering. So I don't know, for example, if it was visitor attraction Devon, or what's on Devon, I don't know, I'm making it up as I go along, but if you think about those things, then try and fit those words into the bio. If you have a brand hashtag, if you've decided that you want to have a branded hashtag, you can make one up and have that for yourself. Do double check that nobody else is using it. It's top tip, because sometimes you will find that there is. I work on a conference. I'm on a committee for a conference, and the conference is called Ambition, and then the year, so for example, last year, Ambition 2019 is the hashtag, and it's the same hashtag, has been for 5 years, just moving on the years, but there is now another Ambition event. So actually, when you look on the hashtag, you can see different events being talked about, which could get confusing. So you want to make sure that you're aware of that in advance. So research any hashtag you want to use. You can update your bio regularly. Once you've written your bio, you shouldn't just forget about it. In fact, if you're trying to grow your audience and grow your following, the top tip is to actually take the time to update your bio. Once a month seems to be good, but some people do it once a quarter. There's no hard and fast rule for it. If you're not getting new followers, first off, try changing your bio. It's a top tip. But give these people a reason to follow you. And this one's got a great example here. It's more fun afloat, they're saying. So, it's a good reason to follow. One that we've found works really well for clients is if you are prepared to share content from people who, for example, travel with you, then you could even put in the bio, tag us in your posts and we'll share your content. And so what lots of brands do is they literally, as you get tagged, you've got a notification you've been tagged, and you might just add it to your story, because then what you're doing is giving kudos and saying, look at the brilliant people who travel with us, and you're sharing the love. It's a really nice, easy way to do it. It's on your story, so it's not on your main feed, on your main posts, but it's a very inclusive way of interacting with your customers. Now the website link, actually I can't see it on this screen grab, but obviously it's there when you look at them on the phone. This is your only link to your website, so you've really got to make it count. But I have got a couple of sneaky other ways for you that you can get links into Instagram as well. But if you're going to make it count, I mean, if you've got, I mean, obviously your website is presumably where people are going to be booking with you. So don't just take them to the homepage unless the homepage has got the special offer on it that you are talking about, or unless it's got everything that person needs to know. Try and take them to a useful destination. And what we've found is that you can use landing pages to do this. And so rather than going to the homepage of your website, you can set up a separate page on your website and have themed content. So you could say, I don't know, tours, attractions, offers, promotions, for example, and then you can literally link through to that landing page so that your users can find all that really deep content really easily. And it's a really good way to get to increase conversions. There's a software that also allows you to do that, a scheduling software that allows you to do that and will create the page for you, because if you don't know how to create a page on your website, or perhaps it's going to cost you to do it with your web developer, there is a software called Later, which is used by a lot of the really big brands. It's not very expensive for the small business, and it actually allows you to put your links. So every post you can link to something on your website, and it's a great way to do that. Underneath that, you can see the highlights, which are the circles that you can see that are themed. You can see here we've got nighttime, summertime, daytime, sunset, for example. Now, if you think about your brand and your theming of your content, and we'll talk about content themes again shortly, you should be able to think about these. This is almost like a filing system for your stories, but it gives people the opportunity, if they missed that story when it was actually published on your Instagram, they get an opportunity to see it there in the highlights section. Underneath that, you've got your statistics, and it'll show how many posts you've made, how many followers you've got, and how many you're following. When people start out on Instagram, you're going to follow a whole load of people, and not all of them are going to follow you back. The trick is to keep following and unfollowing. So you in an ideal world, you'd be looking to have obviously more people following you than you are following. But there are times perhaps when you're on a drive to increase the following for your Instagram account that will get out of kilter. The trick is, as the marketers know, is that you do actually have to go back and you have to unfollow as well. And then you might even refollow the same people at a later date in the hope that they'll follow you back if the brand keeps coming into contact with them. So we've talked about the stats. So then we've got the posts underneath. You can see that's the photos to give the best visual description. And when you click on those, or when you hover on them, you will see how many likes they've had. Instagram is rolling out across part of the world, removing the numbers of likes on things. It's not in the UK at the moment. It's Canada, parts of the USA, but there are certainly big chunks of the world where you can't actually see the numbers of likes or comments on a post. But at the moment you can in the UK, so let's hope they don't bring that out over here, because the brands in certainly the countries where it's being tested have reported a drop in interactions. Going back to the motivation of why people are on Instagram, they want to be part of something. They're joining. They've got a fear of missing out. And actually, if you can't see that anybody else has liked it, they're not necessarily going to do that themselves. You can see the grid, the blue grid relates to the posts. The one next to it with sort of like a little TV screen with a squiggle in it, that's IGTV. and that's for video content, and we'll come on to that shortly. And then the last box you will see is actually where you've been tagged. And you might actually find it quite interesting to go onto your brand page and have a look at who's tagged you, because you might actually be surprised. Lots of business owners forget or don't even realize it's there. And actually you might have been tagged a whole lot of times and just not realized it. And it would have been a great opportunity for you to share your brand message much further. Just a quick mention for direct messages for people who want to approach you directly. You can view them by clicking on the arrow that's visible in the top right hand of your home screen when you're on a mobile. It's in a different place on a desktop, which, as you can see, this screenshot was from a desktop. It sits at the top, but on your mobile phone, it's in the top right. So before we get into all the exciting stuff, we've got to make sure that our Instagram account is set up properly and is ready for business. So I'm going to talk to you about the settings, and I'm going to talk to you about making sure that yours is set up as a business page and not just a personal account. In the settings, when you click on settings, which is the 3 lines at the top of the page, it gives you a whole host of things that you can click on, and literally you just sort of touch any one of them and it will open up more information. The first one, the follow and invite friends, that's enabling you to connect with people via WhatsApp, SMS, email, airdrop, and find people to follow based on your address book. So the people that you know, it will marry up the information in your address book and find them on Instagram for you. So it's great if you've got your customer data in that address book, because of course you could actually follow some of your customers and they would think that's great if but you might just wish to do it manually, which is another option, but that's a quick option to find lots of people that you already know. The second part, it's your activity, and that shows you how much time you spend on Instagram and enables you to set daily reminders and change your notification settings. Why would you want to set daily reminders? Well, you can lose yourself, as you can on any social platform, and it's quite nice to actually have a reminder. If you don't want to spend too much time on your Instagram marketing, you can almost time track yourself. The third one allows you to pause your notifications and configure your push notifications on all of the different content types. And you can have different notifications based on the kind of content. So for example, if you only want to see when the CTA puts out a post, you can set your settings that way, but you might want to see all content or just the IGTV content or just stories. The next one down is about your payments, branded content, set up quick replies. Again, if you get lots of inquiries or you're doing customer service on Instagram, sometimes if you've got frequently asked questions, it's quite good to set them up there. You can also set up age restrictions if you need to, and if you do actually sell any product, physical product, you might want to set up Instagram shopping and integrate it with your website as well. On the 5th tag down, you can configure your privacy settings, always worthwhile doing, even on a brand page. And then, of course, you've got underneath it your password and security settings. Be careful who you give your password to. Do change it every couple of months, as you would do with all your social media platforms, because although Instagram hasn't had a major breach, we all know that Twitter has recently, even though they hacked Twitter rather than the actual account, so it wasn't quite the same. Your payment settings, if you're going to run ads from your phone, from your Instagram account, then you will want to configure your payment settings. And the one underneath that is your ad activity and your ad topic preferences. So that's all about configuring your ad settings. We'll come on to ads in a little bit. You've also got the opportunity there to set up a group of what they term close friends, and you can share stories just with this audience. You can also link your accounts to Twitter and Facebook and branded content tools. So there's lots of little areas in there that it's just worth going in and making sure you're completely happy with your settings before you actually start pushing out your marketing campaign. But of course, it wouldn't be any good if you haven't got a business account. And as marketing agency, we quite often, we have companies come to us and actually they've got a personal account and they're using it for business rather than a business account. So by default, all accounts are set up as personal and you need to convert it. It's really simple. All you need to do is you'll go to your profile and tap the 3 lines in the upper right hand corner. You can then tap the settings cog, click on your account, and at the bottom in blue letters it says switch to a professional account, and then tap business. That actually it makes it far more professional. It separates out your personal and your professional, and on your phone you can have multiple Instagram accounts on the app. So you don't have to worry about the fact that, oh goodness, I want to be able to do my private stuff on my phone. You can have both, and you just toggle between them using at the very top, you'll always see which profile you are, and it'll have a little down arrow if you've got multiple accounts. You just click on it, and then it'll just bring up any other accounts that you've got on there, and you just click on the next one. So you can alternate between accounts. If you like, at that stage, you can follow the steps to connect your business account to a Facebook page associated. It's really worthwhile doing that. It's particularly worthwhile if you're planning on running Facebook ad campaigns, because you want the ads to serve across both Facebook and Instagram, because the algorithm and the AI will help it find which is going to be the best time place for the audience that you're seeking. It will automatically know that. The most common problem we have as an agency when we're onboarding new clients is that somebody used to look after the Instagram account and they've connected it to the wrong Facebook page, and nobody knows how to get it disconnected. So just make sure that it's connected to the right page and that the right people have got admin access on the Facebook admin page as well. You can verify, and it quite often asks you in Facebook as well to verify the connection. So it makes sense that the person who runs Instagram for your business also runs the Facebook page or is an admin of the Facebook page. Only one Facebook page can be connected to your business at a time. So if you have got multiple Facebook pages, you'd need to choose which one is the brand page. The hierarchy of a Facebook page, if you've got multiple locations, should be that you actually have your Facebook brand page and then set up what are called location pages below it. So you, in that particular equation, you would have set it up to connect to the brand page, sort of top of the tree where all posts show. You can also add in details like the business category and contact information there. And if you just click done, then it's done, and it's a one-off job. You don't have to do it again. But I would suggest that any of you that are either new to Instagram or actually sort of resurrecting something you might have started a while ago, definitely make sure that you've set it up as a business account before you start. So before we talk about planning the campaign, does anybody have any questions about the setup of the setup structure?
Yes, I do, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
I'm sorry this is coming up later on in the presentation, but I find the biggest frustration with Instagram is you can't insert direct hyperlinks like you can on Facebook. So if you're talking about a specific tour, a specific product, you can't just insert a direct hyperlink to where you're talking about. I've found the only way to get around it is to I've created something on our Instagram profile through Ink Bio, which is a link that takes you through to another page that lists all the links to your websites and stuff like that. And also, I find if you want, another way to get around on Instagram is to insert a swipe up option on your story. But the only way you can do that is if your page is authorized by Instagram, or is in getting the little tick, or is it a rule you got to have so many followers to be able to have that? I wonder if there was a way around that yet, because I've asked this on every single Instagram thing I've kind of sat in. I just wonder if Instagram's produced a way around that yet, or is that still the case?
So the way that you can get around the link problem, because you're absolutely right, it's a massive problem, is either using what you've used, which we use later. They all sort of, and they give you like a link, which goes on your bio, and then if someone clicks on that, they can see all of your content, and it's been put into categories. You can also create that on your website. I've seen that done really well by a lot of big sort of Instagrammers and influencers. What they do is, so that they don't go through a third party before they get to the website, so they get absolutely every click of the traffic, they set up a page on their website, which is, say we call it Instagram/Instagram, and when people land on it, they will actually see, again, a bit like you're using with the third-party software, the topics in the different categories. You can also, and it depends where you are in the world, because it is being rolled out, but you can actually put clickable links into IGTV. So again, if you're doing video content, and that doesn't have to be just straightforward video content, because you could create your video using images and live video. It doesn't have to, or you could be just creating it as an MPEG file from a selection of content. So like you said, with your offers, for example, if you did something that actually had, I don't know, 24 offers, and you spread it out so that you're filling up the time, you're putting music to it, and having something going on there, that you would be able to get links into that, but it's just at the end in there. Anybody else got any other questions at this stage? No? Cool. Okay, I can have a quick swig of water. So we're going to talk about planning the campaign. There are some, this is where things do cross over a little bit with Facebook, insofar as the planning process has certain similarities, because of course with an Instagram campaign, there is going to be a certain amount of strategic content, which is that which you plan and that you want to send out. And then there's going to be the tactical content, which is going to be the stuff that you put out in the moment. The stuff in the moment is actually usually more likely to go viral, because it's going to be very topical of that moment. So say, for example, you post a picture when you're at the CTA conference and you tag the people that are in the picture, that the pickup on that will be more, really fast, because you've tagged lots of people. So you can't necessarily plan for that tactical stuff, but you can plan the strategic stuff. And that comes back to all marketing, is having clear objectives, because what is your Instagram channel supposed to be doing for you, and what is it about? And we've again done you it's a slightly different playbook from the Facebook one. It's got slightly different tools in it. But again, you have to think about what I call topic clusters. So that's your brand messages, your community messages, maybe your destination messages, your CSR content, stuff about coaches, for example. These are all topic clusters, and you can plan out content around them. And think about the things that would be interesting. Stuff that people might not see regularly as well. It's a highly engaging platform, so you want to make sure it's interesting, and you can almost put yourself in your customer's shoes and say, well, if I saw that, would I be interested? And that's usually quite a good litmus test. So you can plan these monthly posts in advance, but being aware that you're going to post tactically too. And so with Instagram, you don't have to put out the same kind of numbers of posts as you would on, say, Twitter. You need to be putting, I don't know, 7 to 10 posts out a day to have a vibrant account there. Whereas with something like Facebook, you can get away with, 1, 2, 3 posts. With Instagram, you don't actually have to do it every single day. But it depends, you might, through your high seasons, high booking season, you might want to actually be pushing out those offers and interesting facts and late availability and things like that. You might be wanting to push that out a bit more, but you don't have to worry about it being every day at a certain time, because people don't look at the content that way. They don't think, oh gosh, that post is really old. They don't really look at the dates at all. And if any of you are Instagram users yourself, you'll probably think, oh yeah, actually I've never seen a date on anything. It's just not how you look at the content on that platform. I would say have a handy list of who to engage with, and that's similar to Facebook and Twitter for that matter. If you're growing a profile from a low base, interacting with people is a really quick and easy way of getting lots more love on a social platform. It actually doesn't matter which platform it is. If you can tag, if you could do a flashback to a conference night out, or a something at WTM that you all enjoyed, or something like that, it basically it reconnects people with your brand, and everybody likes to get a mention, and if they've liked it or shared it, then there's the way that the algorithms work, it's going to get more likely to be served to their audiences. So again, people in the travel industry, it actually makes sense that different brands can actually leverage brand power across across the industry just by tagging and each other. I also, and I've put this into your playbook, is you should pre-research your list of hashtags before you start. It's quite handy when you do. I do quite a lot of the research on my iPad for hashtags. I find it's easier on there, again, because I'm short-sighted and I can see the numbers better. But actually seeing how many people are following a hashtag. You don't just want to see the hashtags that people use when they post. You want to see the ones that they're following. So if you know that, say for example, blah, 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 Honk for Hope has got 10 million followers, for example, you would want to follow that hashtag, because actually then you're seeing that content, you can see what's on trend, and you can see what's current and what people are talking about. So do follow hashtags, not just accounts, and use that hashtag information in your strategy, so that when you're using hashtags in your posts, which we'll talk about shortly, you're using the best possible hashtags, the ones that people are actually following. Hopefully that makes sense. In the same way that you would on any social channel, you have to define your tone of voice. This is particularly important if there's multiple people in the company that are actually posting to the Instagram feed, because of course you have to think about making sure that your visual identity is consistent, but you've also got to think about the tone is consistent as well. So it is worth having that conversation with any of the people that are actually going to be posting. Do we use emojis? Are we fun and upbeat? Are we traditional and experienced and knowledgeable and a little bit serious? What is our tone of voice? Are we talking with authority? Are we getting excited and saying, hey, come with us? You need to define that, because even though the captions that you write, and that's the text that you write that goes with your post, it can be shorter than on any of the other platforms, because obviously people are hooked in by the images and videos. They still need to have that tone of voice, and that tone of voice isn't just the ones you use for captions, it's the one you use for DMs, direct messages, or indeed if you're replying to customer service inquiries, for example. And I've mentioned this before, and I always mention it several times, is that you've got to hark back to your SEO, and you've got to think about your primary keyword list, because if you've got that research and you know the most important keywords that people are using to try and find your website, they're going to be similar on, and they will help you identify your hashtags for Instagram, and actually that goes for Twitter as well. But do be prepared to be tactical on a daily basis. If you're going to an event, an awards event, although they're going to be few and far between at present, a conference, a day out, or actually on tour, or it's a real life. This is live from our attraction. That kind of stuff that's in the moment, that's different, is really engaging. So in your planning, you need to just think about all of these things, and then you just create a document, and you've got the template there to create it, so that you know what you're going to be doing. You don't want to be doing all the same things on all the same channels at the same time. Just remember that if you want your customers to love you on all your different channels, what you want them to do is to get different things from different channels. So say, for example, you might decide that actually all customer service is going through Twitter because it's quick, it's snappy, and it's kind of like the nature of the beast. But actually what you want to do is the real salesy, inspiring people to get in touch and request a brochure, or to have a price for, or get an itinerary, or whatever. Instagram might be the place for that. So think about that, and just how you're going to use the channels differently. don't think that just because you've written one caption for Instagram that you just stick that on Facebook and Twitter as well, because they won't engage in the same way. And actually, why would the same person follow you on all of the platforms? It doesn't matter how much they love your brand. If you're saying the same thing, they don't need to see it 3 times. So you've got to give them a reason to love you on this channel. When we're talking about what shall I post this month, again, this is the one that seems to stump everybody. What shall I talk about? Because everyone sets off with good intentions, and then all they want to do is sort of talk about the offers and availability and promos. It's similar to Facebook insofar as you can use it to do a lot of different jobs, and as I've said earlier, it is can be the early stage of the brand funnel for new customers. So addressing traditional sales objections such as safety and trust, or availability, or cost and affordability, that it's a good place to do that, but not as a blatant sales message. I always say that everyone likes to buy, no one wants to be sold to, so you need to do it in an engaging way. The vast majority of the content on Insta is about inspiration, and that's the content that drives desire. You know, if you're doing a tour and it's going to London to I don't know, to maybe go on the boat cruise, you know, actually showing a picture of the Thames, actually showing something about London itself, London nightlife, a bit of video footage, or, you know, going to the races, for example. I know a lot of tours go to the different race tracks, or to the I don't know, historical palaces. You know, actually using that kind of imagery. If certainly for the coach operators, if you can get photos of the coaches outside landmarks, it'll be excellent Instagram content. If you're an attraction yourself, I mean, actually that sort of the around the area, so it's, you know, it's not just all about your attraction, it's about that area, so that people can actually associate being in the area with your attraction. It can work well for you. But and things like events, you know, making them getting people excited about the kind of things that you're doing. Obviously, when you're posting, engage. Attractions can be tagged, locations can be added to the image. It's really good, and I'll probably mention the word tag about 52 times today, because tag and be tagged, basically, is the way that it goes. The more things and people that you're tagging, the more you'll find it'll happen back to you. All social media is you have to give before you get, and we talked about this certainly for Facebook, that behind the scenes and kind of content. That could be video, that could be changing a tire, it could be you know, somebody's 50th birthday party, it could be anything that, you know, a fabulous bottle of champagne coming out of a fridge. I mean, any of that kind of stuff will make great content. But feature and include travellers with, of course, with their consent, because particularly if you're trying to change a perception and you want to start shifting demographics for your tours, for example, you know, you want to have pictures of younger people, you want to have pictures of different ethnicities, you want to make sure that you're busting the myths, but just by providing great content, not because you're saying, oh look, you're 25 and you should be coming with us to go racing at Ascot next year. So you want to be thinking about that. And bringing your brand to life, and you can do that by with featuring some of your staff. You know, certainly, you know, if you've got someone who, you know, I don't know, on some of the coaches where they're giving the audio commentary, you know, they might have something really fun, you know, little piece to camera, it can be filmed on an iPhone, it's low cost, but actually the thing that engages the customers that are on that tour actually is the kind of thing that would engage people on Instagram too. But you can also do your seasonal messaging on there, competitions, and as I've said earlier, repost customers' posts with their permission. I'm a bit more of a fan of, rather than reposting a post, to repost it, to share it as a story though. So, but we'll come on to stories in a minute. So a little bit about hashtags. Hashtags are essential for engagement and reach on Instagram. So if you look at your competitors' Instagram posts, you can see what hashtags they're using. Always a good way to find out. You can use hashtags in the first comment of your post. So rather than have the 10.7 hashtags in your post that the average seems to have, go best practice. So just use a couple to maybe 2, 3 tops hashtags in the post itself. But then when it's posted, you can post the first comment yourself and just stick a load of hashtags in there, and it will help your discoverability. It will look as from the Instagram algorithm point of view, it works as a plus because there's a comment on there, and it looks then that you're not trying to oversell by over hashtag in your actual comment. You can get some instant hashtag suggestions from free websites such as RightTag. I don't know whether any of you are familiar with that one, but it's really handy for finding some great hashtag suggestions. We've talked about following hashtags. If you want to do that, just click on the magnifying glass on the options list at the bottom of your screen, and then just search for a word that would be associated with your brand. So say, for example, London or coach or attraction or whatever, and then click on tags to see the range of hashtag, which includes the word and the number of posts that this has been tagged with. And that's the all important thing. Obviously, you want to look for the ones in the thousands and the millions rather than the ones where there's like 27. Click on one and follow it. If you find that you don't like it, you can always unfollow it. It doesn't matter, but it will then appear in a list when you start to search for hashtags, so it kind of helps you, and it will give you ideas of other hashtags that you might want to follow that are similar. Does anybody have any questions about any of that part? We all au fait with our hashtags, when to hashtag. Okay, so posting on Instagram. So some real basics here on how to do it. So let's talk about organic posts, which, as you're looking at the screen, they're the square pictures. People that follow your account will see these. So it's not like Facebook, where the amount of followers you have, represents exactly how many people will see every post. It doesn't work. Facebook doesn't work like that, but it does on Instagram. So if someone's following you and you post, they will see it. It'll be somewhere in their feed, depending on when they look at it, obviously. So when you're doing it, the first step is obviously to upload a photo or take a new one. You just click on that plus button on the bottom of your screen. I'm talking about doing this on a mobile phone, obviously. Secondly, then you can upload the photo from your phone's library. You tap library if you're on iOS, or gallery on Android, and at the bottom of the screen you just select the photo that you'd like to share, and it could be one photo, it could be multiple photos. Step 3, obviously, you take to take a new photo, you just tap the word photo at the bottom of the screen and then the circle button, and you can switch between front and rear facing cameras and adjust your flash. And once you've taken or uploaded the photo, you can add the effects or filters, a caption. That says text, it should say text really, shouldn't it? Hashtags and your location before posting. And this applies to videos as well. So it's a really quick and easy way to do it if you're doing it on the fly, or if you're going to be scheduling it out in advance, then you're better off using a third-party platform to schedule those posts. What you do need to think about, though, is how it looks as a feed. So, as you can see here, we've got the CTA feed there. The great use of image, the imagery feels the same. It feels like it's coming from the same kind of perspective, and it features people a lot, which is good as well because it's a member organisation. But also, it's got other stuff in there too. So it's got some that haven't got people in there, but it's quite nice. A really good mix in there. To get a bit creative with your organic posts, you can obviously, you've got your photos and videos, which we've said can be directly uploaded from your phone camera within the app, or you can choose from your saved photo album. With the behind the scenes shots and things like that that you might actually have stored on your phone. Obviously iOS and Android are different, but you can create folders in your phone of your content. So actually, if you're taking photos when you're out and about and thinking, oh yeah, I'm going to use that next month, or I want to use that to promote Christmas, or we've got another tour coming here next month, we want to make sure that's going to be spoken about on Insta. You can just set up folders on your phone, and then that way you will always have it to hand whenever you want to post. You can go down the graphics and the memes route. A meme is an image which is usually it's humorous, but not always, but it's light-hearted. Graphics can be created on free websites. Canva, it seems to be a very popular one with small businesses because there's a free version, but you can create it with your own branding. And actually I chose this one as a visual because you've got the option, you can see there both the photo content sitting side by side with graphic content. It can look really cool. And it actually, I mean, if you were a model, for example, what you would actually do is plan out how that grid is going to look over time. So it might go photographic, or you post 5 photos, then I have a graphic. So it depends how you want that to be perceived, but actually when people are scrolling through your feed, what do you want them to see? With something like this, you can see that you can mix up that content and it can have really good effect. It makes it stand out. You can also use your feed in conjunction with your stories. You use your stories to test content and post whatever converts the best to your feed. Now we're going to come on to stories in a moment. I know I've mentioned them a lot, but it's a great way of finding out stuff quickly. And then if it looks like it's going to be really popular, then you want to put it on the feed, because actually as a post, it's going to be there for a long time. Use your feed as the place to home big announcements or things people will want to come back to after 24 hours. So that's about the creativity on the organic posts. Oh, it's telling me I'm not tracking time. What makes a great post? Well, relatable imagery. People and places, mirror reflect, i.e. resonate. So I picked this one at Stay Rendezvous. I mean, I'm a red wine drinker. It resonated with me. I thought, oh yeah, I fancy one of those. I looked at that and I read the message, and it was really nice. It was saying, what matters now is that we get to celebrate wine o'clock from the comfort of our own homes. That too with an intimate group. So it had 160 likes. It was a lovely photo, just a very, very simple photo, simple topic, but it's a mirror topic. It's something that actually it appeals to anyone and everyone. Obviously, you can put relatable imagery, destinations and attractions. This post I selected from Secret London. This one's had just nearly, over 40,000 views. And it seems to have been a popular post. And as you can see, and going back to about the links, they've put their link in bio. They keep reminding people. But it was just a short video, and it had some great places to explore just in an animation there. And that to get over 40,000 views, that's 40,000 opportunities of people that are going to interact with your brand and might come on one of your tours or visit your attraction. So putting different kind of content does actually work. You just need to be mixing it up. So other things that make it a great post, well, things that are topical, so tapping into the feeling of the day, and actually both of these do. They tap into the feeling. They're ticking more than one box, if you like, because they're time-worthy. It's a newsworthy topic. We found across the agency client base in all sectors that certainly when the Clap for Carers came out, it was very popular. So the clients that were putting out posts that were thanking the NHS and key workers for all their hard work, they were getting disproportionate amounts of social love because everybody agreed with them. It was topical, it was timely, it was newsworthy, but it reflected how people were feeling, and so therefore it was properly engaged with. And that's a very small brand getting to a very big audience because it's putting out the right kind of content. Other things that make a great post are ones that are sort of like warm and inclusive. And again, if you're looking to target sort of different age ranges, I mean, the Silver Surfers are taking Instagram to their hearts. It's a great way to see what their family is really up to. Certainly, I mean, if you look at the 45 to 55s with the sort of like teenage and early 20 children, they're very keen to be on Instagram and actually see what their family are up to when they're on their nights out or the stag weekends or that kind of thing. So putting out content that's sort of warm and inclusive, definitely not salesy, it really becomes compelling. But announcements, if you're doing something great or you've done something good or you've got something that you're delighted to be sharing, they go down really well. So and if you can tag anyone, so much the better. So things like if you were, say your team did a fun run for a charity, to tag that charity. Not just the charity that will get involved with that post, but it's also the people that support the charity will get involved with that post, which again can bring you more customers, and they can see that you share the same values that they do because we all support the same charity. Promotions and competitions, obviously they go down very well on both Facebook and on Instagram. I know I have teenage daughters. They love all the promotions and competitions on there. But a lot of people find that you get very large swathes of audiences coming through. So the good thing to do with that is if you're going to do that, as you make sure that you're taking them, and this is back to the link in your bio, make sure you're taking them to your website, get something off of them. If you're, saying win a 3-day pass or something like that, get their email address so that you can communicate with them, so that you're building some other aspect of your marketing mix. Keep the sales posts to a minimum. You can still sell without actually saying, £149 across it. You don't have to be that blatant. And if you've got, say for example, Kew Gardens, I think is now open. Say for example, you were taking a coach to Kew Gardens. Your post, your imagery can be about Kew Gardens. It can be, what wonders and delight await you. And if you've got a picture of your coach outside of Kew Gardens, even better. I don't know whether that's possible to stop outside there, but if you could do that, certainly that will be more engaging than just having a graphic that says Kew Gardens, £149, 12th of September. It's all about putting stuff that's actually going to inspire people. We talk about clear calls to action, and that's also in your playbook. Things on Instagram that work really well are things like tap love heart if you agree. And so basically people will tap and that helps get you engagement. Ask a question. It's quite good when you see two images put together, and whether that could be, for example, two coaches or 2 different days' weather or whatever, and ask a question, what's better, left or right, whether do you think it's bigger or smaller, which one's going to cost the more, which one is the heaviest, anything like that. Ask a question and people get involved. The more people get involved with your post, the way that the algorithm works, the more people will see that post. So you want to get that engagement, and if you can tag people, as I've said before, that will help as well. And tell people to click the link in your bio. Sometimes people put like the little emojis doing the down fingers so that you can say, come and click here. But trying to get people to actually, or it could be something as basic as book today. I mean, that is a call to action. But that's a very salesy one. So I would only ever use those occasionally. So moving on to Instagram stories. So a third of the most viewed Instagram stories are from businesses. So that thought that perhaps my business doesn't have, we're not going to do stories, that'd be a waste of time. Actually, that's what's being most viewed by the general public. So it is worthwhile. And given there's 30 million of them in the UK that are looking at this content, it's well worthwhile. 50% of businesses create an Instagram story during the month typically. You can gain knowledge on which stories are engaging from these stories insights, which I'll talk to you about your insights in a short while. You can see who out of your followers and how many are viewing your stories. It gives your Instagram an edge by keeping your feed as things that people can come back to, and your stories as a 24-hour Snapchat into daily life. You can do slideshow format, like a reel of footage, and then you can file it as highlights. And if you remember back to when we looked at the hierarchy of the pay your profile, they were the circles that were underneath at the top. So say for example you might have a folder called London, and then all the stories that you've had that feature London all go in there so that people can look back on them, and that might give them a great insight into the type of tours you do, for example. So organic stories, they're seen by people that follow your Instagram account, and they disappear from view after 24 hours. So it is very much here today and gone tomorrow. So I don't know whether other people have experienced this. Sometimes it doesn't seem to be exactly 24 hours. Sometimes it's longer, but the theory is that it's 24 hours. So the first step is to just tap the camera in the top left of your screen, or swipe right from anywhere in the feed. You tap on the circle button at the bottom of the screen to take a photo, or tap and hold to record a video. To choose a photo from your phone's library or gallery, swipe anywhere on the screen at all. And if the photo or video you choose doesn't fit in the screen at first, pinch it and literally with your fingers on your mobile, and you can change the sizing on it. You can then tap the pen icon or the text icon or the emoji icon to draw, add text or stickers to your photo or video. And you can tap undo to remove a drawing effect, or done to save it. To remove text or a sticker, just simply drag it to the bottom of the screen and it will just disappear. I didn't get that at first when I first started using Instagram. I know it was a while ago, but it was like, well, how am I supposed to get rid of that? It doesn't seem to disappear, and you just literally just pull it down. So it is worthwhile doing the organic stories given how popular they are, and the fact it gives you this opportunity to test out your content and see what's going to be popular. But you want to be creative with it. So you use it to bring your brand to life on Instagram in 3 seconds or less. Now this 3 seconds is the important thing to remember. It's really quick, and it only lasts for 24 hours. So it is a super quick piece of content. Use your vertical canvas to tell creative stories, and build creative that's relevant and well branded to build brand equity and perception. Choose key brand moments such as launches and premieres for driving action and awareness, and share authentic content like sneak peeks of products to drive brand loyalty. Sneak peeks of products, that could be a new package that you've got for next year. It could be a new brochure launch. You can make that whole preview premiere feel, and it really drives brand loyalty. People keep coming back to find out a bit more. You need to switch it up and keep it fresh at all times. So keep attention with speed, and try and land your message to showcase your brand quickly. I've seen quite a lot of posts that really outperform all others. I'm going to give the example of a cookie because it's quite easy for you to visualize. If you imagine a cookie in the center of the screen there, and the cookie keeps changing. 1 minute it's a chocolate cookie, then it's a vanilla one, then it's an orange one, it's a blue one, a green one. If you can imagine that happening really quickly, you get that feeling of speed and energy. You've only got 3 seconds to impress here. So those fast, high energy ones work really well. And you could do that either with different views of your attraction, you could do it with different coaches in the fleet, you could do it with your different drivers, you know, having them sort of like switching and changing. And the way that you create that obviously would be to have different frames and then merge them all together. You can obviously enhance your story with sound and have voiceover or music. Obviously, I have to advise you to keep it unique, either create it yourself if you're musically inclined. I'm not, but if you aren't musically inclined and don't have the ability to create your own music, you can just buy royalty-free clips of music. You can also design with your objective in mind, focus on people for brand objectives and product for conversion objectives. So it's about making sure you know what your objective is. And you can split your story into scenes and have top performing ads have shorter, more succinct scenes. So basically that's, you know, about making sure that you're splitting it down and maximizing what's most important. You can also run ads on stories. Stories ads can run for as long as you wish, and they can be optimized to match the business objective that matters to you. And I'll quickly run through how to do it. But why would you want to do that? Well, I mean, you know, the whole disappearing after 24 hours thing organically, that means you've done it for free, but it does mean that you've got to do a new one in 24 hours time if you wanted to have a consistent story on your Instagram profile. You don't need to. It's okay to just say, you know what, in my plan, I plan to put out 3 stories a week, and I'm going to do it Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or I'm only going to do it at weekends. That in itself is a strategy, so you don't have to do it every day. But if you run them as ads, you can run them for that longer period of time. And as you can, you know, see from the stats, they're very, very engaging, and they're great for the sales funnel. So it might be worth considering if your ad budget stretches. So to do it, you just go into Ads Manager, and you can use the guided creation or quick creation to create your ad. You just literally click on it and click create. You choose your objective, so you select the brand awareness, reach, video views, conversions, app installs, lead gen, or traffic objective. So you have to know what it is you want to achieve. Most people want conversions. Generally speaking, I mean, unless they're marketing an app, of course, which would be different. But you know, or lead conversions or lead gen. But if you want to get more traffic to your website, that is the one to choose. If you want to make sure that your brand is, you know, you're really pushing your brand out there, and people are getting touched by your brand, they're becoming familiar with your brand. At the very early stages of the buying cycle, then choose brand awareness. If you just want to reach loads and loads of people, pick reach. And video views, well, if you just want people to watch your video because you're convinced that when they've watched it, that's going to convert them, then obviously that's the one to choose. As the third step in the placement section, you select automatic placements or edit placements. Instagram stories is selected by default in both work streams, so just to give you the heads up on that. And the last step is obviously follow the rest of the steps to continue building your ad campaign. I mean, it literally will talk you through it. And when you're ready, just click confirm to publish your changes. And assuming you set everything up correctly and you put your credit card details in when you set up your profile, actually all your billing and everything else is all sorted as well. So moving on now to IGTV. IGTV was introduced to the platform in 2018, and it's dedicated to longer format video. So the videos must be a minute long. It's also available as a standalone app, as well as being accessible on Instagram. So how to find it, click on the magnifying glass from the options at the bottom of the screen, and under the search bar, you'll see the button that says IGTV. If you click on it, it will give you suggested IGTV uploads to watch based on your activity. So it's quite an interesting thing actually to see what, based on the activity that you've done, what it thinks is going to be of interest to you. I chose this one from Love Great Britain just because it just shows you that you can have some fun with your IGTV. There's a whole host of different things that are going there, but you've got from nature to history to foodies to yoga challenges in a kilt, which is quite fun. And obviously this is a high an account with a high following. It's got nearly 400,000 followers, so it's and as you can see, they're actually only following 665 accounts, so you can see that it's an active one. And but their IGTV is hugely popular. When you're being creative with your IGTV, you've got to create a strong opening, because you really only have a few seconds to grab attention. So the job of your introduction is to get the right person to stop scrolling and convince them to keep watching. You've got to then establish credibility, explain why you're someone to listen to, reinforce that position, share your useful information, but you've got to do it at high energy, you've got to do it at speed, and then your call to action. What do you want them to do next? As a couple of bonus tips, you can add headlines and captions into your video. So captions being text, and headlines, you can see them obviously across the top. And you can also have a progress bar so that someone can actually see how long that that IGTV post is going to take them when they're watching it. On the technical side, they can be up to 120 seconds long, and I've put the ratio, the aspect ratio and pixel ratio in there for you in case you need to refer to it. But another example here would be Ascot Racecourse. I mean, obviously they've got different races going every day, but so you can actually sort of see the racing there live and in action. It's hugely engaging, and it's quite a nice example of an account. Again, they've got 87,000 followers. It's a decent sized account. One of the things when we've been trained on Instagram is actually look to the accounts where they're sort of like up to 100,000. The ones that have got sort of millions plus, unless they're sort of like a worldwide celebrity or a worldwide brand like Coca-Cola, the chances are that the numbers are fudged, and you know there's some ghost accounts in there. So the ones to look at are like this kind of size account. It's the one that you can aspire to, because it's actually what's achievable for you as a small business. Right, has anyone got any questions on that, on posting? We all gone to sleep.
So yeah, so I got a quick one. So I was going to ask your opinion on something.
Oh.
I've had mixed reviews about this, so I wasn't sure what professional opinion of it was. You know, when you're posting obviously photos, I have a tendency to use the Instagram app on my phone and kind of put several little pictures in one overall picture, so you got a bit of a collage going on.
Yeah.
As a professional, do you think it's better just to post one individual image or have that collage?
Without wishing to cop out, it depends what's in your collage. If there are 4 busy pictures, you're better off posting 4 separately. If they're, if for example your collage though, what would be really impactful is almost have 2 very busy pictures and like 2 coloured squares to make that collage. You have to mix it up. There's no hard and fast fast rule. So if they're all graphics, then no, I would separate them. But if they were like, I don't know, say it was at the same beach at daybreak, midday, sunset and nighttime, and they're the 4 pictures that you've got formatted, then yeah, they'd look great as a collage. Does that answer your question?
So yeah, that does, yeah.
Great. Has anyone else got any questions on that? No? Cool. Let's talk about keeping our audience engaged, because once we've got them, we've got to keep them. Right, so similar to Facebook, obviously engaging your audience, you've got to teach, entertain, inform or inspire. And as we've already discussed, Instagram is very inspirational as a platform. And you'll get to know your audience and what works on your profile through the insights and the reports. And we're going to talk about reporting shortly. But keep it short, focus on quality. Instagram as a channel is more quality over quantity, so really think about the content that you're putting out, and I guess you know, we've talked about collages. You know, you can do carousels, you can do MPEGs, you could have GIFs on there. Well, you create it as a GIF and save it as an MPEG to upload it. So you can get really startlingly good images. You've got to always remember engaging content is going to be the content that people can see and be influenced by. So you want to make sure that you use great images, and anything that's a bit blurry or just a bit below par, just park it for something else or for another social platform. Obviously, you can video or broadcast live. You can encourage direct messaging from users. I find that actually, message and be messaged, tag and be tagged, all of these things, it's kind of, it's back down to what I was saying about being helpful. The more helpful you are as a social profile, the more people engage with you. The more people engage with you, the more people follow you, and so it continues. Use polls and ask question stickers and add countdowns to your stories. They're nice and engaging, and it takes, should we repaint our coach green or blue? I'm just giving you an example. Should we change our logo to green or blue? Shall we go to Ascot or Newbury? Questions, polls, all those kind of things. You're asking people's opinion. It's like free market research. It's worth your while using it. And using the countdowns as well, that works as well, because it makes it timely as well. Post at the right time that your audience are online, and we've said at the moment, actually this lunchtime and early evening seem to be sort of like high points at the moment. This is going to sound like the most ridiculously obvious tip, but always reply to people. And it's just polite. It's not just about being polite. So if you post something and somebody says, that's wonderful, great to see, even if you put thanks, or if you know the person, or you're aware of their brand, or you do something that's personal to that reply, that helps the algorithm know that this is an interesting post. So that interaction, not just clicking the love heart, actually answering them back is good. In the same way that if you're getting direct messages, do reply. The only caveat to that is obviously if someone's trying to sell you something and you're not interested, then actually clearly it's not going to make any difference. So that's engaging your audience, but engaging with your target audience, that the way that you're going to do that is the hashtags, which we've discussed at length. Influencers, now that can be certainly, there's a lot of travel bloggers on Instagram, and they're very, very active, and they have huge followings, and they are, one strategy to grow your audience would be to hook up with an influencer, let them experience your product, and so that they can actually talk about it to their audience. It does work. It's when so if you go back five years or more on Twitter, when the Twitter influencers, people were paying like stupid amounts of money, or originally they were giving free product to high profile tweeters. It's a bit more ethical on Instagram, but so quite often what people will do is they will in return for example, coming on one of your tours, they might offer to write an article, a blog about it, and sharing it with their audience. It's not so much about money changing hands, although obviously that still does happen, but they do have to put that it's paid content, if that, certainly where celebrities are endorsing a product. If you want to grow your audience, though, you do have to go and like their stuff as well. It's not just all about you. You're being great, you're marketing your brand. It doesn't mean that you sit there in splendid isolation and you don't actually engage with any of them. So by going to people's profiles and liking and commenting, social listening really comes into play here, and your hashtags. Because if you can, say for example, staycation is a hashtag that's trending. Let's say it's got a big following. Look on that staycation trending hashtag, look at the posts. What can you say about it? Somebody might be saying, I'm looking for an idea of where to go. It could, people are going to be asking about stuff. There might be something that you could help, even if, for example, you are an attraction in a particular area and people are asking about things to do. You can say, well, there's us, but there's also X, Y, and Z. Give something to them that's not just the blatant sales pitch for you, and they'll love you forever for it. And they'll share your content, and they'll talk to you, and they'll talk about you, which obviously on any social platform is a good thing. Attracting new customers. Obviously join my cohort. Different ways to expand your audience. I said this with Facebook as well, because you can get new followers both online and offline. So you obviously want to encourage your customers to follow your page. That could be that you have your Instagram username or the Instagram icon on the emails that you send out. It can be on your website, it could be on the paperwork or travel itineraries, on tickets, anything like that. Basically anywhere that the customer is going to have that piece of paper or see that thing, you want to make sure that you've got your social, and that goes for all social, it's not just for Instagram. Obviously, you want to encourage people to share their experience and tag you. I saw a really nice one. I think it was Historical Royal Palaces. They had a QR code. They used it as washroom media, and basically you could zap it, and it basically you followed on the QR code, and you followed their social profiles. It's a really nice, simple way to get more followers. Travel stories and dream destinations, certainly this year, I think people are wanting to be more inspired than ever. And, the UK is beautiful if you only operate in the UK. Overseas is beautiful. There's so many beautiful things to look at in the world. So try and come up with, stories, tell a story on there. It's very much a storytelling platform. Obviously, offers, promotions and competitions do help expand your audience. Why would someone want to follow you just because they've entered a competition? Well, they're going to want to know when the winner's announced. And if, for example, you're able to give 10 free tickets to X, then actually it's well worth them following you, because there's more than one chance they're going to win. Tag and be tagged. You've obviously got ads to extend the reach of your posts. And for those of you who are also doing Facebook marketing, you could be running your Facebook ad campaign and just having it run across Instagram as well. Don't forget the plugins on your website. And don't forget that there's two different sorts of buttons you can put on your website. So there's the follow button, which is so that the people can just click and follow you. But then there's the share button. So that's the one where they're going to click and share. Ideally, you want on sort of like your brand pages, have the follow button. And ideally on your blog pages, news pages, offers pages, have the share button, as a general rule of thumb. And actually that goes for any of the socials. Obviously, don't forget to be social, because it is a social platform. And outreach to influencers. Engage your staff. Like other brands' content. And there's a forward trick for commenting. The sort of latest sort of like a secret info that came out in, we were on an Instagram conference the week before last, and the big sort of thing from the States at the moment is that you will get, if you want to extend your reach, and you're going out and you're liking people's profiles or following them, comment on something but use 4 words. Well, I'm holding my hands up, you can't see it. 4 words, 4 little words. The 4-word trick is that it's something on 4 words that actually stimulates the algorithm, and it will help you be more popular. So if you want to attract more people and get more followers, when you're going out and you're following people, the accounts that you follow, pick one of their posts and comment using 4 words. So not just saying stunning, because that's kind of, you see that quite a lot, or brilliant or fabulous, actually say something in 4 words and it will help you. We've tried it out and it does seem to work. Why were you going to bother doing this? Well, it's the same for all the social platforms. You're going to build these relationships with your audience and customers. Get your brand ambassadors. That's the people that have traveled with you, had a great experience. They're going to talk about it. You want to be tagged in that conversation, because that's going to help bring you more people. It's the repeat purchases, but it also helps stimulate the impulse purchases as well, and builds this whole community around your brand. And it helps you nurture leads in a way that actually is really quite soft and gentle, but it actually helps people right into the sales funnel before they know it. You're educating them about the tours that you do, or the attraction that you run, or the hotel tell that you have, and you're informing them of the stuff that you want them to know, and overcoming their buying objections without them even noticing it, because that's what creates desire. Clearly, it's the opportunity to showcase your brand and service, and it is free. It costs time, but it is free, and you can have the option to use advertising as well. It's very good for PR and crisis management. It's good to listen to what others are saying about you. And as I said, a lot of the CTA members, the ones that don't have profiles on Instagram, they are there because you can see them. They've been tagged as places, so they are there. So you'd want to know what was being said about your brand. So even if you're not going to really work the page, it's worth claiming it, branding it, and making sure you're just listening in every now and then to the conversation. Your customers expect it. For sure, there are some communities that Instagram, it'll be like any social platform, isn't going to reach, but there is a lot of people there, and they are all on there for learning and finding new things and getting excited about brands. And of course, there are a lot of competitors that are on there doing it. And the travel industry seems to be, certainly overseas travel seems to be most prolific on there. Does anyone have any questions about that part? That'll be a no. Excellent. I've explained all well then. So I'm going to measure success because we're going to have created a brilliant plan. We've got some rocking creative. We've posted it out. They're loving it out there. We've got more followers. They're interacting, and we want to measure the success. So there's different metrics, obviously, for the different kinds of formats of post out there. So the core metrics for posts, I've just pulled one up so that on my phone so that you could see. Every post is going to have different levels of interaction, and we're B2B on Instagram, so the reason we're on there is because this is what we do it for our clients. For B2C, you see different numbers. It will help you really understand, if you start looking at post level, what kind of content people like. So post insights you can access from any post you've uploaded. So you just literally bring your feed up on your phone, click on the post, and then click on View Insights, and it's in, I think it's in blue. In blue underneath the picture, and you'll get the detailed information on the post performance, the likes, the comments, the shares, the saves, the profile visits, and the reach. And if you think you know it, you can see it all, and then you can scroll down and you get even more detailed insights. I think one of the things Instagram doesn't do so well is actually make people realize that if you scroll down, there is always more. There's usually more on Instagram if you just keep scrolling. Most people will see some numbers and think, oh, they're my numbers. But actually, you can, if you keep scrolling, you'll see your profile visits, your website clicks, your action button clicks, follows, reach, impressions, and the source of discovery. The source of discovery is really quite interesting as well. It's whether the person was following you or how they found your profile. So that's really useful to know. On stories, it's slightly different. You swipe up for stories insights. It's only available from the story itself. It's only available for 24 hours of story duration, and you can see the viewers or data insights. You can see your story interactions and the actions taken on the story, such as replies, link clicks, sticker taps, profile visits, and website clicks. So you can see what's gone on there. And whilst it's not the most sexy form of metrics, it does give you a good idea as to whether those stories are working for you or not. If you want to look across the account, across a time period, then you're going to need to go into the full account. So you click the Insights button on your profile, and you'll find insights on content, activity, and audience. Content, this will show you the overview of your posts, your stories, and promotions. The activity button will show you the discovery, shows you the reach and impressions of your posts. Sorry. And interaction shows you the actions users took on your profile, whether it was profile visits or website clicks from your bio. Audience, this will show you your audience growth as well as a breakdown of the top locations your users are in, age, range, and gender. And actually that's really useful for you to know, because if you are connecting with different audiences to perhaps those that you've done before, you need to know whether that's going to convert into bookings for you. So keeping an eye on these metrics is well worthwhile. Of course, if you use a third party, it will aggregate that data for you, and you'll probably see it in lots of pretty graphs and actually be able to do far more manipulation with the data. But it's really straightforward, and as I say, it can be managed all from your phone. Has anyone got any questions on measurements? No? Okay. So we're going to start your plan of action. We've got a new playbook. You can add this one to your Facebook one. You're going to build one big playbook. What you need to do when you're finished here today is you're going to reword your bio and change your profile image if it does not fit or is low quality. Input the best link for your website to appear on your profile. You're only able to show one after all. Use your content, plan your content out and using your new tool that you'll receive from Steve. And check your messages regularly, either on the native platform or on a third party. You're going to, as of today, make sure you reply to comments, and you're going to remember those 4 little words. You're going to comment on any images you're tagged in. 4 little words applies there too. Get involved, invite your staff to follow your pages and ask them to invite their friends as well. Say, come on, support us. And just keep engaging with other people regularly. A lot of the, it's spending 15 minutes just going and following a load of people actually is quite a good 15-minute time spent and commenting on some of them, because actually by following a whole new bunch of people that you're trying to attract, so say for example, the kind of person you're trying to attract is the person who's, I don't know, say you're a London operator and you know that people that are following, I don't know, a particular thing in London, follow those people, the people that follow their followers rather than their account, and that will work really well for you because it will help you build yours. You don't have to stay following them forever. You can obviously, as I said earlier, it's good to sort of remove some of them as well. So some final bonus tips for you. Message new followers to create that instant relationship, and you can start building your brand experience straight away. Now, if you have a little more time, or if you've got someone that's dedicated to marketing in your company, it's really nice that when you get a new follower, if you send them a DM saying, thanks for following, it's great to see you here, let me know if you need any information about what we do. That's a really nice experience, a welcome, in the same way that if they came to your front door to come and get that information, or if they went to your website, they'd get a great experience. It's much more inclusive. Do beware of the hashtag, don't overuse it, and don't make your caption messy with hashtags. Put them in the first comment below the post. Build your image banks, take multiple images from different perspectives at the same time, and that will spread your content out. So, if it's that fine sunny day, which it is today, you could go and take lots of images and then put them, file them in your phone and use them at different times. Do keep text to a minimum on images. I think somebody mentioned earlier about the fact that sometimes it's really hard to read. It is. Use your captions for your text, and with your images, think of it a bit like a poster. With outdoor posters, there's like, I don't know, less than 10 words on them. Usually about 4 to 6 words on a poster, isn't there? Very short, sharp, and to the point if you're going to put words on an image, because it doesn't always display well, obviously, on mobile, and it's not always as easy to read. But I think probably the best advice I can give you with Instagram is don't obsess over perfect content, because people want real, they don't want perfect, and that will be your images and your videos. They don't have to be perfect. For sure, every brand should have a show reel and everything else, but with Instagram you can use that real content and people will really buy into it. And it's the same old as it is for Facebook. It's the same old adage that content that gets likes and comments is one thing, but content that builds demand and gets you sales is quite another. So just lastly, just some top tips which you can click through from when you receive the slide deck. There are business Instagram pages, and they have a blog there. You might want to have a look. They do have some useful, I did have articles on there. They do have some good ones, but there wasn't an awful lot of on travel, to be fair. There's certainly some great examples though. For scheduling, you might want to use later.com, which, as I said, that can also help generate a link so that you've got a page, so you've got your multiple links. Hootsuite's pretty good. I know that quite a few of you are a fan of that, and I'd say I'm a big advocate for Sprout Social, because that allows you to do a lot of scheduling and get a lot of reporting insight. Creating your graphics, there's Canva or Adobe, and a couple of helpful apps just to get that content really good. For those of you who are not familiar with it, there's Boomerang, which is kind of like, it's like very short form video where it's like a repetitive action. It's quite fun, available on Apple and Android. There's Hyperlapse that's available only on Apple, but it's great. Do check it out for time lapsing. And you've got Layout on Apple and Android as well. They're all kind of worthwhile. If you're doing those sort of grids of images that we were talking about earlier, Layout is good for doing that. So I'm hoping that that has given you all a big immersion into the wonderful world of Instagram and inspired you to start marketing your businesses further on there. Does anybody have any questions for me? Are we all still there?
Well, I'll fill the silence if it's starting on. Yeah, that's fantastic, Justine. Really helpful. I think one of the things that I find, I've actually been trying, I've had it open on my phone and just trying to follow someone. Obviously, I can't do it at speed because then lose the trace. But a bit like Facebook, perhaps even more so, some of the signposting to the tools is really not that clear on Instagram. You know, finding I'm going to have a look through the slide deck, but it might be that we might need to give people, particularly those new to Instagram, to be able to use it. You know, a really clear idea of screenshots. This is exactly where you go to actually find these things, because some of it is quite buried. It's, you know, the app developers obviously like a bit of burying of their tools, really, and it could be a lot clearer, but once you know it, that's fine. But I think the first thing might be helpful, so it might be something that we could look at.
Yeah, absolutely. Has anybody else got any questions? Is anyone else feeling really hot?
Oh.
I think the weather's really heated up here. It's suddenly got very, very hot.
Oh, bless you. Thank you for that, Justine. I've never used Instagram, so I'm going to go and have a play.
Enjoy. And if you have any questions, Nikki, just drop us a line and let us know.
I'm
always happy to answer questions. And that goes obviously for everybody. If you want to ask any questions, do let me know. I know when you're going through this at speed, because you're kind of hearing it all, and as Steve said, you can't quite listen and do it at the same time. So that's why I've put in sort of like some how-tos in there in the slide deck. But if you get stuck, either the resources that I've given you in there will help, or just drop us a line and I'll do my best to help us answer your question.
Thank you.
Justine, just a quick question. When you were doing your research, did you come across an example that you thought within the coach industry, which you thought was really worth showcasing, or maybe you didn't because there are competitors on board, but maybe is there an example that you'd like to share with us?
The Shearings one was probably the best coach one that I found. There's lots in the travel industry, but in coach tours in particular, there was less so. But I do think that, you know, there is the reason I showed you things like Ascot Racing is that, you know, days out and attractions and things like that, they do massively well on there. So I mean, you know, I was going to put on something like the historical royal palaces and things, but there are just so many to choose from. But the Shearings one, I guess, from a pure coach, I saw some stuff from Baker's Dolphin as well that was probably worth looking at. I would suggest that you look at the hashtags. But actually, if you look at the hashtags, and now in the pack that you'll get for your playbook, I've started you off with some hashtags. If you put those hashtags in, you'll see which accounts because I've given you lots of coach related hashtags. You'll see who's winning.
Okay, thank you, Justine.
You're welcome. Hi, Anne.
I just wanted to thank you. Really, really useful. I was going to dip out, but it's been really useful. There's a lot to take in, and just with the I need to update the bio. I think the landing page tip, because I've always struggled with that, and actually that's quite a simple way to do it. I just hadn't realised. So that's brilliant. Thank you for that. And I do one question that I have got is I don't really use highlights or stories very much, and I need to get to grips with that, but I think I need to really look how to do that, because it was just going a little bit too fast for me with that part of it. So, but I know, you know, you can YouTube anything these days.
Well, hopefully the slide deck, you'll have all the instructions there step by step. That's why I included for this one, rather than for Facebook, the literal how-tos, so that you had something to refer back to. The stories, it was the one when I Helen, going back to Helen's question about you know, who's winning, you know, you can see in the posts, you know, there are a lot of posts, but where you can have a point of differentiation and where you can win is stories and IGTV. IGTV is Instagram's baby. They've invested so much money in it that people that are using it are getting rewarded with the algorithm. So if you have the ability to create content, video content in particular, and you don't even have to film it as a video. So we've done stuff where there's GIF makers that are free that you can use, and you can actually download as an MPEG. So because obviously you've got to upload it as a movie file, and that's a free way of creating content. But you have got to fill 60 seconds worth with it. But again, if you've got loads of photos, and you can intersperse. I don't know whether any of you have come across the platform called Promo. Promo is great if you're going to create video, because it's got royalty-free images, royalty-free video that kind of like you can top and tail. So you can and music. So you can start with video, put your images in, and it looks like the video is continuing, and then you've got something moving around that's actual proper video at the end, and you just save it as one file, and you put your brand messages in, just pop your logo in, and so that's promo.com. That's a great. That's no, it might be promo.io.
Is that a paid version?
I think they have a paid and a free one.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah,
really
try it for they'll definitely give you a free trial. So do it and just download whatever you create. Anyone else got any questions? No? We're all exhausted. Right, well, thank you very much. I hope you've all learnt lots today. Oh, can I also have a copy of last week's? That's from Simon. Yeah, no problem. Sorry, I've just noticed there was chats. Right, what do we got? We don't use that on Instagram as yet. Same here, we don't use it yet. I use Buffer to schedule on desktop, but then do the rest on my phone. That's a good tip. Yeah, that's a great tip. And I missed on the Facebook webinar. Is it possible to have the info from it? Yeah, Gemma, that one, Steve will be able to send you the stuff from the Facebook one. And Simon would like a copy of last week's as well, Steve, if you can see that.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I've just copied the chat there, so that I've got those. Thanks. So I'll send those out shortly. Just to echo one of the points you had earlier, I just did a count up of kind of Instagram accounts. We've just done something to ask operators to send in their up-to-date consumer contact details, because we're upgrading what is currently Find a Coach Holiday. I think some of the operators on here have done that, others haven't. I've just sent out another reminder, but we can really do with that. And it asks for everyone's social media channels. And I think looking at that at the moment, around a third of the operators have an Instagram channel.
Right.
I suspect a lot less than that are active users, but so it is. There's a lot of potential there, really. I think that's the point. And I think the other part of that is at CTA we're working at the moment on some resources that we're going to share, and indeed Justine's going to be part of that, to actually work on support in the consumer sphere. And social will be a very key part of that. So we'll be looking at really providing resources for operators to use and to really extend the reach of that through all of your networks. CTAs are B2B, so we've got relatively small ambit, but with the power of the operators and the attractions and others consumer reach, I think it could be quite useful, really, to promote the brand of coach tourism, and particularly around the whole staycation issue. So, which if you can't go abroad, get on a coach. So there's going to be a lot we can do in that, and I think I'll be looking to work with people. The other thing we'll do probably shortly after this is we'll just do a quick survey just for what else you'd like to consider. We talked about possibly another couple of sessions which might be focused on different topics. So we'll get your feedback from that and look at how we can develop the next stage of this. Albeit that everyone's also very busy actually getting their programs underway now, hopefully. So we're conscious of that, but I think there might be some opportunities to do that and work with Justine again on those.
Great, thank you. Right, well, I hope everyone's had a great afternoon, and I shall see you all soon.
Brilliant.
Thank you,
Thanks all.
Justine.
Cheers. Thanks, Justin.
Thank you.
Thanks, Justine.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.